She walked briskly down the polished marble hallway of the luxurious mansion, clutching the plain, unmarked envelope tightly in her hand. Her heels clicked softly against the floor as she rehearsed what she was about to say. It seemed like a simple enough task. Return this envelope to its rightful owner. Nothing more, nothing less. But somehow, the weight of it felt heavier than the stack of documents she had carried for years in her old office. At the door, she paused, taking a deep breath. She knew she was entering a world far removed from her modest life, a world of opulence and privilege that she had only glimpsed from the outside. With a quiet knock, the door opened, and there he was, the millionaire. He was tall, impeccably dressed, and radiated a confidence that bordered on arrogance. His eyes, sharp and assessing, flicked toward her as she stepped inside. "I'm just returning this envelope," she said, holding it out with both hands. The millionaire laughed, a rich, echoing sound that filled the grand room. "An envelope? You came all the way here for this?" He chuckled, shaking his head. "I must admit, I wasn't expecting someone to actually care about such a trivial thing." She felt a flush of embarrassment but held her ground. "It belongs to someone," she replied firmly. "I can't keep it." His amusement lingered in the air, and he leaned back in his chair, studying her with curiosity. There was something about her, a mixture of resolve and honesty, that intrigued him. The kind of sincerity he rarely encountered in his world of business deals, power plays, and carefully calculated interactions. But before he could respond further, the sound of the front door opening made both of them look up. A man walked in, tall, composed, and with an air of authority. The millionaire's laughter faded instantly, replaced by a look of genuine surprise. "Ah, so you're the real owner," the millionaire said, his voice calm but tinged with tension. The woman's heart skipped a beat. The real owner. She hadn't known. She had only assumed this man was someone of importance, perhaps the envelope's recipient. And yet, the tension in the room shifted dramatically as the true owner took the envelope from her hands, examining it carefully. "Thank you for returning this," the real owner said, his voice steady. "Many people would have ignored it, or worse, tried to take advantage of its contents." The millionaire's expression darkened slightly, revealing a side of him she hadn't seen before, one that was used to being in control, to having everyone defer to his whims. But now, faced with the rightful owner, his usual confidence seemed almost fragile. She realized, then, that this small act of integrity had disrupted something much larger than she had anticipated. The envelope, simple as it appeared, contained information of great importance, perhaps something financial, perhaps something personal, that had the power to change fortunes, alter decisions, and reveal truths that had been long hidden. The real owner glanced at her, a subtle nod of gratitude in his eyes. For a brief moment, she felt proud. It wasn't just about returning an envelope, it was about doing the right thing in a world that often rewarded the opposite. The millionaire, who had laughed so heartily moments ago, now sat in silence, his mind clearly racing. He realized that he had underestimated her, underestimated the significance of integrity in a world dominated by wealth and power. Her simple act had thrown the delicate balance of their interactions into question, forcing him to reconsider his assumptions, his influence, and perhaps even his values. As the woman turned to leave, she felt a strange mixture of relief and empowerment. The envelope had been delivered to its rightful owner, yes, but she had also delivered something else, a reminder that honesty, courage, and moral clarity could still make an impact, even in a world where money often overshadowed ethics. The room remained tense for a few more moments, the millionaire processing the unexpected turn of events. Then, slowly, a wry smile returned to his face, though it was tempered with respect. He realized that wealth could buy many things, but it couldn't manufacture the kind of integrity she had displayed. And perhaps, he thought, that was worth more than anything money could ever offer. As she walked away, stepping out into the cool evening air, she glanced back at the mansion one last time. The laughter had faded, the tension had shifted, and the envelope had found its home. But she carried with her a quiet satisfaction. A simple act, an honest choice, had proven that even in the world of the rich and powerful, integrity could set off a chain of events with consequences far beyond what anyone could have predicted. Sometimes, she realized, the smallest actions held the greatest power, and the simplest choices could change everything. The grand foyer of the mansion gleamed under the soft chandelier lights, every surface polished to perfection, every detail a testament to opulence. She paused at the threshold, holding a simple white envelope in her hand, feeling strangely out of place amid the gilded walls and lavish decor. It was just an envelope, after all. Just a simple delivery. Yet, as she stepped forward, she couldn't shake the feeling that this small act would carry consequences far beyond her imagination. "I'm just returning this envelope," she said, her voice steady despite the fluttering of her heart. The man in front of her, a well-known millionaire whose name alone carried weight across the city, chuckled lightly. He leaned back in his leather chair, his expensive suit immaculate, his diamond cufflinks catching the light. "An envelope," he said, amusement dancing in his eyes. "You came all this way for this?" She met his gaze calmly. "It belongs to someone," she replied. "I can't keep it." The millionaire laughed again, a rich, dismissive sound that seemed to echo off the marble floors. For a moment, she thought he would simply take the envelope, dismissing her sincerity as trivial. But before the situation could develop further, the front door opened. A shadow crossed the polished floor, and a man stepped into the room. Tall, poised, and unmistakably commanding, he exuded an aura of authority that instantly shifted the atmosphere. The millionaire's laughter died in his throat. He looked toward the newcomer with a mixture of surprise and uncertainty. You're the real owner?" he asked, his usual composure momentarily cracked. The woman's eyes widened. Real owner. She had assumed this millionaire was somehow connected, perhaps the intended recipient. Yet here was the actual person, calm and assured, taking the envelope from her hands. His eyes briefly met hers, a subtle nod acknowledging her honesty. "Thank you for returning this," he said. Not everyone would have done the right thing. The millionaire, who had been in control just moments before, now shifted uneasily in his chair. For all his wealth and power, he had been caught off guard. The envelope, seemingly mundane, held far more significance than he had anticipated. Its contents hinted at secrets, possibly sensitive information that could shift fortunes or influence decisions. For her, the moment was surreal. She had walked into a world of glittering excess, expecting perhaps a polite exchange. Instead, she had witnessed the collision of appearances and reality, of arrogance and integrity. The millionaire's laughter, once booming, now seemed hollow, a facade that had crumbled in the presence of truth. The real owner examined the envelope carefully, his expression unreadable. There was no trace of the wealth or flamboyance that had filled the room moments ago, only purpose and authority. His arrival had reframed everything, revealing the gap between perception and reality, between the superficial and the substantive. The millionaire cleared his throat, attempting to regain control. I suppose I underestimated the situation," he admitted. His words were carefully chosen, revealing a grudging respect, a rare acknowledgement of the power of integrity over influence. The woman felt a quiet sense of triumph, though she remained composed. It wasn't about confrontation or proving anyone wrong. It was about doing the right thing, even when the world seemed tilted toward deception and appearances. By returning the envelope, she had unknowingly participated in a subtle but profound revelation, that wealth and charm could impress, but honesty and authenticity could command respect far beyond material possessions. The real owner finally spoke, his voice calm but firm. This envelope could have caused chaos if it fell into the wrong hands. You've prevented that. His gaze lingered on her, not with pity, but with recognition. She had acted as a bridge between intention and consequence, a quiet hero in a room that otherwise thrived on spectacle. The millionaire's expression softened, the tension in his posture easing slightly. He had been reminded that control and influence were fragile when faced with true integrity. The envelope, small as it was, had reshuffled the dynamics of power, highlighting the stark contrast between those who valued appearances and those who valued truth. As she turned to leave, she glanced back at the room one last time. The millionaire sat back, thoughtful, no longer the figure of unstoppable confidence. The real owner, composed and authoritative, held the envelope with a quiet gravity. And she, a simple messenger with nothing but her honesty, had set off a chain reaction that revealed much about human nature, identity, and the surprising impact of small, deliberate actions. Walking out into the cool evening air, she smiled faintly. A single envelope, returned to its rightful owner, had upended expectations, revealed hidden layers, and illuminated the often overlooked truth. Appearances could deceive, but integrity could not be hidden. In a world obsessed with wealth, status, and perception, a single act of honesty could hold the power to change everything. Sometimes, she realized, identity and surprise were intertwined. And the smallest truths could resonate louder than the grandest facades.